In this episode of Financial Review, we're going to tell you how to calculate your mortgage payment in Google Sheets. So let's go ahead and jump into the formula portion. So one of the best things about Google is you can literally go on there and type in anything and find just whatever you're looking for in a matter of seconds. So before you used to have to go crack a book and find a formula, but now you can literally go on Google and say mortgage payment formula. And there are a bunch of different options out there and plenty of people out there that provide free information and give examples of exactly how to do it. And this is the one that I personally use myself. I personally love using this one, and this is actually the exact same formula I used when I calculated my own mortgage when I bought my house 3 years ago. So, one of the things you'll have to keep in mind when we go through this process is we're going to follow the methodology that we learned a very long time ago in simple mathematics. And some folks may have forgotten this, and that's okay. But there is a standard procedure called PEMDAS, and it stands for parentheses first. So, you work the very inner parentheses first. Then, of course, you work the math inside of the parentheses. So, we do those two pieces first. Then, of course, we do exponents. So once we work those pieces in here, then we do the exponents, which would be the next portion. So technically, this portion at the top and the bottom are exactly identical. So technically, we only have to do this once. From there, we do multiplication. So the multiplication would happen right here. So we would do the I times this portion, which would be the result of all of this. And then, of course, we go to division, addition, and then subtraction. So we're going to work this step by step, just so you feel comfortable with how to do this in Google Sheets. So I'm going to be typing in some formulas and explaining exactly what I'm doing first. So the very first portion that we need to work is, of course, the parentheses. So we're going to start with the innermost portion, which is I divided by 12. So I'm going to go ahead and label this top, and I'm going to say I divided by 12. But the first thing we have to do before we do any math is we need to first lay out some numbers. So I'm going to lay out the principal of my mortgage, of what I actually bought my home for a couple of years back. And I'm also going to provide the interest rate, which is 0.0385. Very lucky and fortunate, by the way. I know mortgage rates are a lot higher now, probably around the 7% range. And I took it out for a term of 30 years. Now, we're going to know that that's for months. So we know that if we say a number of payments in, so I'm going to say equals this times 12 months because there's 12 months in a year, and 30 years would give us a total of 360 payments. So now that we have these numbers broken out, let's go ahead and start working the math. So I divided by 12. That's going to be your interest rate, which must be in a decimal form. So if you've never done decimals before, 3.85%, you move the decimal over two places. So you go 1 and then 2, and you have an extra space, so you fill a 0 in there. So it's 0.0385 would be the decimal portion of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my interest rate and I'm going to divide it by 12. So now that I've gotten this number, I'm going to kind of expand this a little bit just to give us a little bit of space here. And now that I've done that, I'm going to do 1 plus I divided by 12. So I'm going to add a 1 to this. And just like that, we have this portion right here. And technically, we can use it down here again. So I'm going to highlight this a certain color because I'm going to want to use this again. So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it with yellow so I don't forget the position. So at this point, I need to take this number and I need to, of course, raise it to the exponent of 360 payments. So if you've never done exponents before in Microsoft Excel or even in Google Sheets, there is a number 6 on your keypad. And what you would need to do is hold the shift key down and then the number 6, and it puts this little triangle that will raise this to that. And then we're going to multiply that, or excuse me, raise it to the exponent of the number of payments. So I'm going to take this top number and I'm going to raise it. So I'm going to say equals this number raised, sorry, number 6, and then raise it to the number of payments. And just like that, we get this number. So technically, we don't even need this portion either because we already have this full top portion right here, and this exact same thing is duplicated right down below. So technically, this is the number I need to remember. So I'm going to highlight this one. Sorry about that. So now that I've done this, I need to now multiply I, which is my interest rate, times this number. So I'm going to say I times above, just to make it simple. So equals this number times interest rate. And now we have our top number. So I'm going to go on ahead and say this is the top portion right here. Now, we know that this number right here is exactly identical to this one. So we can say, okay, well, if we take this number right here, this is technically what we get. So it's the exact same thing as 1 plus I divided by 12 raised to the n. But now we need to subtract 1 from it. So we're going to say above minus 1. So we're going to take this number minus 1. And now we're left with this last portion, which is the bottom portion. So now that we have the top and the bottom, we now need to divide the top by the bottom before we do our multiplication. Because remember, with PEMDAS, we're going to divide before we actually go through and do our multiplication. So with this being said, we'll go ahead and say top divided by bottom. So we'll do equals top divided by the bottom number, and we're given another decimal. So now that we have this result, we're going to take the principal times the above. So that's going to be this number that we just got multiplying by your principal. And it gives you an annualized number. So this number is the actual amount of principal and interest per year. So now to figure out the monthly payment is we're going to take the above and we're going to divide it by 12 months, just like it shows over here, because we just got the very top portion. So we're going to take this number and divide it by 12 months, and that gives us 91136. And I kid you not, I'm staring at my amortization schedule right now. It's literally next to my microphone here, and I'm looking right at it. And the amortization schedule is actually what tells me the amount of principal and interest. And exactly it shows 91136. That's the exact number that you have. And keep in mind, this monthly payment is going to be principal and interest only. Principal and interest only. The amount of interest is going to be determined by your amortization schedule. You typically won't know that until you actually go in and sign your mortgage paperwork. You'll actually get one. But then we'll also, you need to understand that there's also additional on top of this. There's the escrow account, which is actually going to be your taxes and also your home insurance are lumped into an account called an escrow account. You pay into that on a monthly basis. But this number right here, 91136, this is the exact accurate number of what I pay in principal and interest every single month. So for the next 30 years or 360 payments, I'm going to owe 91136. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, please feel free and email me, and I'll be happy to talk to you. If you have a specific situation you want to ask me about, I'm also happy to look at that as well. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. Y'all take care.